وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وآله وصحبه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. So we've reached the issues about the battles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We reached the area speaking about the battles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from there we have a few questions. I have a question. Who remembers what Waraqah told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he first received revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Khadija brought him to her uncle Waraqah, what did he mention to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that would allow us to understand that there was no escape for it except that there would be battles eventually? His whole family would what? Hate him? Hate him? Well, remember Waraqah told him that nobody comes with the likes of what you come with except that they will be what? Kicked out of their homeland, fought against, right? So eventually, without a shadow of a doubt, when the da'wah of the truth comes against the da'wah of falsehood, eventually there's going to be some type of battle for one of the two to survive or become superior. And that's something that happens. No escape for it, for the most part. Even we know from amongst the stories of the prophets, how many prophets do you know of that they're, or messengers, do we know of that their people believed in them? And they accepted their da'wah? Oh, that's a good one, right? But Sulaiman was in charge of Bani Israel, so their situation is a little bit different. They were, that's a good answer. Generally speaking, we know that most of the people of the prophets, most of the prophets' people, the messengers' peoples, they wouldn't accept the da'wah. They were destroyed. Examples were made of them, right? The example I was thinking of was Yunus. But you came with a nice example, barakallahu feekum. So, the reality of the situation is what? Most of the people are going to reject it. Right? Most of the people are going to reject the da'wah. So, there comes a time when the da'wah of the truth clashes against the da'wah to falsehood. The question that comes after this is, do you submit to the falsehood once you see it clashing with the truth? Do you compromise and say, I'm going to just give up? Or do you fight for the truth that you believe in, even if it might cost you your life? And Allah grants us safety and security. So, the Prophet ﷺ was finally given, after struggling for a long time without any permission to fight. He was in Mecca for how many years? 10 years. How many years in Mecca?
10 to 13.
Huh? Speak up. Speak up. Or whisper. Huh?
13.
What?
13 years.
13 years. Is this correct? That's you guys. That's right or wrong? You said it's wrong? I thought you said good. I'm sure you said it's wrong.
I think it's more than that.
More than that? What about you?
In Mecca he was in 10, in Medina 13.
Mecca 10, Medina 13. What about you, Zubair? After Prophet. What about you, Khadar? You have the final answer. What's the answer? 12 years? 5 years. 13. We have 13. We have, what did you say? You said 13 too? Come on, man. You didn't say 13 the first time. Is that what he said, Abdurrahman?
He didn't say anything.
He didn't say nothing? And then we have 10 years and 12 years. 13 years, y'all. 13 years he stayed in Mecca. How many of those years did he stay in Mecca making what they consider to be secret da'wah? How many years was in secret? 3 years. How many years did he spend in the valley when they boycotted him and his family?
2 years.
Somebody says 2 years.
Someone said, return on the volume. That's registered.
How long did you say?
Put a max.
Hmm?
5.
5 years?
Yes.
Who's this 5? Any other answer?
4.
4. So he stayed there for 3 years. So now let's look at this, right? He had 3 years in secret, 3 years in the mountain path where they had boycotted him at. And he was in Mecca for how many years giving da'wah? Huh?
13.
So what's 6 minus 13? 7 years. And they were being tortured. He had to send them away to Habasha. He got beat in Ta'if. Had stuff thrown on him. So 3 years secret, 3 years basically in prison, right? That's realistically what they did. And 7 years they were just torturing them, killing them even, right? All for the sake of da'wah. But he wasn't given the permission to fight. The situation was not conducive for him to fight. And Allah didn't give him permission. 13 years. So a lot of times when we see the youth, they say, oh, we want to fight. They say, yeah, you haven't made da'wah for even one day. What do you want to do? Right? You see people, that's one of the problems with people when they're young. Right? They're hot-blooded. They just want to, they want the quick fix, as they say. Quick fix. Let's fix it right now. But the quick fix, right, it's like when you plug a tire, when you pop the tire in your mother's car, right? And when you pop the tire in your mother's car, and you want to fix it quickly, right? It doesn't work. Sometimes you got to get a new tire, you got to do some other stuff, right? Sometimes you got to wait, you got to get in trouble. And there's a benefit in understanding that. The benefit is what? That things don't happen overnight. A lot of times when you're young, you're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, you've only lived in reality for 5 years, right? The other time you wasn't even paying attention to life. So you might have really started paying attention to life in the last 5 years. Maybe even sometimes the youth, they become active and become serious about Islam 3 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago. And automatically they want to change the world. Yes, you should have that himmah. But it doesn't work this way. That's not the sunnah of Allah. Allah hasn't made the sunnah that now that you woke up, right? Now that you woke up and want to make salah, now that everyone is going to follow immediately. Oh, we're going to kill it. No, chill out. Take a breather. Right? Da'wah takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. I remember I was in Turkey, and one of my companions that was there, he's Turkish, may Allah bless him. He said, Sheikh, give him da'wah. Tell him this, tell him that. I said, yo, listen, we're not even, we just got here. We don't even speak the language. How are you going to try to tell somebody about everything and push it down their throat? They're going to look at you like, who are you? You just came on a plane and now you want to tell us about what we've been living? No, it's not how da'wah works. You know, you have to have some thought about what you're going to do first. Sometimes you have to go through some difficulties. A lot of times, most of the times, you're going to go through some difficulties like the Prophet ﷺ did. And he was from them. So sometimes we're in a culture, we're in a whole new land, and you want to give da'wah that you're going to change the place and the people don't even understand you properly. You don't understand the people properly. Right? Like here in America, we have a culture. Right? And realistically speaking, you guys might know the culture better than I do now. So you're probably more apt to give da'wah here in America than it is easier for you to adapt to give da'wah somewhere else. Because you know, like me, somebody might say apple, and I'm thinking it means an apple. But you guys know that apple has a different meaning, right? Oh, apple. Oh, he said apple. I'm like, what's apple? Not literally apple, but you get what I'm saying, right? There's different slangs and stuff, even generation-wise. So who's the best suited to give da'wah to your generation? To your guys' age group.
Our generation.
Your generation in reality, right?
Gen Z generation.
Because you understand the little differences, right? To me, I might see something and think nothing about it, but you know that that's a huge problem. You say, oh, but it takes wisdom and time. It doesn't happen all overnight that now that you cleaned up your Snapchat, you think that everyone's Snapchat's going to become clean. No, people still going to be on TikTok. They're still going to be dancing and doing funny stuff on TikTok, right? Doesn't mean you curse them and say, oh, you stupid fasic, how can you do this? You was just like that yesterday. Right? You were just like this yesterday. Now that, subhanAllah, this is something that, especially when we've been in da'wah for a long time, Allah accept some of it from us, right? That the mistakes that we saw when we were young, that we used to make, right? 13 years old, 14 years old, trying to give da'wah, right? And you want the whole world to change. And your elders, they say, calm down, just, keep learning. Seek knowledge. You're like, no, we gotta go away. It doesn't work this way. Keep that energy to number one. What should you do if you have a lot of energy? Right? You young people, I see you have a lot of energy, mashallah, for da'wah. And you see, man, these guys, these older guys, they're like, relaxed now, right? They don't know, right? They say, what should you be doing? Tell me.
Studying.
Seeking knowledge day in and day out, as much as you can, right? Learning. While you have all of that energy, learn. And whatever you learn, tell someone. That's how you keep. We're not telling you to be quiet. Learn. You learn something and you understood it from a teacher, not just what you read in a book. That's dangerous. Because you don't know how to apply it. A lot of times we read something in a book, we read a hadith, and we're like, oh, look what this hadith says. But there's a reason the ulama never acted on this hadith. Right? When you read books like Jami' at-Tirmidhi, right? And you see that the Salaf were upon this, they didn't act on that hadith. You'll see in the book of Jami' at-Tirmidhi, they said, and the Imams acted upon that. Sometimes they say they didn't act upon that. There's reasons behind this. Fiqh behind this. That the young people, sometimes we don't have it. So, be patient. Keep learning. Right? تَفَقَّهُ قَبْلَ أَن تَسَوْوَ. Like Umar used to say, learn before you end up given positions and then you become busy. Because now you might not have time to read all day. You, at this time, you should be having your knees should be in pain from sitting reading all day. You're young, you have energy, read, shut up. Right? You say, man, that's crazy. Is that correct? Read, read, read. So that you become more experienced. Ask questions. Don't answer them yourself. Right? Ask questions. So, what should we do in this situation? Ask the people who've been experienced. Ask the people, number one, who've been experienced in this land. Right? It's another big mistake that people make. Huge error. You want to give da'wah in a certain country, right? You're in a certain country, you want to give da'wah. And then you make the mistake of using the norms of da'wah from another country. It won't work. People are different in every land. Right? So, be smart about that, inshallah, and be patient, is what I'm saying. You learn something, you understand it well, tell the people about it. Tell as many people as you can about it. But don't go ahead of your limit. Know your limit, right? And that's something that the youth suffer with. They don't know their limit. They're like, one sheikh of mine used to tell us, he used to say, okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say I ask you a question, right? One of your friends, colleagues, classmates ask you a question, right? They say, hey, Khadar, what is the ruling about such and such? And you don't know the ruling, right? What should you do?
See, I don't know.
I don't know, it's good.
Study about it.
Absolutely wrong. And that's what most people do.
Ask someone.
Correct halfway.
That's for sure.
I'll tell you what you do. Let's say someone comes and asks you a question, right? Unless there's two different things, right? Let's say someone asks you a question. They say, what's the ruling of this? You're in the beginning of your talab, right? You're just seeking knowledge. Should you go research it? Go ask Google, go look up Islam Q&A, go look at the books in the masjid or the books you have at home and say, I'm going to find the answer. I'll get back to you in a day. Is that what you should do? No, Allah didn't burden you to do that. Allah didn't make that your job. Right?
Be quiet.
Should you go ask somebody?
Yeah.
They might know it.
Maybe, maybe not. It's not your job either. That person has to keep asking, you can ask. Your job is to read on your level. Why do we say it's not your job to go ask anybody else? What did Imaam and the Salaf used to do when somebody came and asked them a question they didn't know?
They used to be quiet.
They said, I don't know, and they left it alone. They didn't say, hold on, let me go ask Hamad al-Ansari, or let me go ask. They said, I don't know. Why? I'll tell you there's a principle here. The more that you get accustomed saying, I don't know, the more that you become humble. The more that you get accustomed to saying, I don't know, and leave it at that. When you get accustomed to saying, I don't know, but I'll find out, it builds a level of kibr that's not good for the beginning student. Not good for anyone. But especially in the beginning days, it will blow up in your heart. So you start to think that you have to know the answer. Then what will happen is what? After a while, people coming to you, after a while you start answering from your own mind. You say, oh, I think it's this. It's dangerous, and we see this is happening a lot today. The people, the other day, subhanAllah, I seen a totally batil fatwa. And one of the reasons that this fatwa is so batil, and we see that it comes from the people who don't know the culture of this land. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people do when they come from overseas, and they think they studied a little bit overseas, but they don't know America. Why? The ulama, like Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, says that it's one of the first conditions a person has to do is know the land that they're giving fatwa in. If you don't know that land, you're going to make huge mistakes. I'll give you an example. I saw recently some people, and Allah, we respect them. Some of them, we know they have some ilm, alhamdulillah. But they made the mistake they made is having knowledge of books and not knowledge of the place that they live in. They said Thanksgiving is halal, it's not a religious holiday. The Muslims that are born and raised here, they're like, what? Are you stupid? But are you serious? Like, go tell it to my auntie that's at church right now celebrating on Thanksgiving. Go tell it to Uncle such and such that when they start Thanksgiving meal, what do they say? We thank the Lord. So, you're going to tell me, yeah, they thank Jesus and everything?
You're supposed to thank Allah every day, right?
We're talking about, we have non-Muslim relatives, brother. Yeah, so we're talking about our non-Muslim relatives. Right? Tell them that it's not a religious holiday. But you have these Muslims that come to America and they want to give da'wah in America, and they destroy all of the hard work that our ancestors, that our elders did here in America by trying to remove these non-Muslim holidays and things of this nature from the practices of the Muslims. They destroy it. These people come from Pakistan, India, wherever, right? And they destroy it. All of the hard work that we put in, right? Of warning the people from these kufr holidays, they come and say, oh, it's permissible. Where do you get this from? From so many reasons it's not permissible, and you come and you tell the people it's permissible, and then, subhanAllah, even if there was some doubt about it, is it a benefit for the Muslim to celebrate? What is the benefit? Even if there was maybe some doubt, but it's clearly haram, even if there was some doubt, what is it? Somebody tell me one benefit that we get out of celebrating Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, any other holiday. One benefit. Turkey? You that hungry for turkey?
Maybe.
No, I'm serious. Give me one benefit. Can you tell me one benefit?
Your family comes together?
Family comes together. Yeah, the Muslims come together all the time. We have Jumu'ah.
You just said,
This is the batil. But this is the way that the people start to believe like the kuffar. They start to think like the kuffar. Oh, it's a day that our family can come together. Yeah, Habibi. Shouldn't you come together with your family on different days then? You need a Kafir holiday to come together with your family as a Muslim? Doesn't even make sense. That's not our culture as Muslims. That our family only comes together on a certain day. Is that normal?
No.
How often does your family come together?
Every day.
Huh?
There's actually gun shooting last Thanksgiving. Some of the family members shoot themselves.
They see what happens when family comes together?
Because some of them haven't met each other for envy for a long time, and then they see each other and say, why is he here? Maybe he's not apparently because of me, you know? It's not.
SubhanAllah. So again, the point goes again, you have to know the place that you're at. You have to know the culture. You have to know the origins of the holidays that are happening here. Even the origins of the words. Right? Words have meanings. And people come here and they utilize certain words and they don't realize the meanings behind these words. Right? Even the other day, Sheikh Abu Hudayfa, he was telling us about what this name, there's a name that I didn't even know, subhanAllah, had kufr origin. What was the name? Do you remember? I don't remember the name.
What name?
Something, I don't remember the name.
What name?
But it was a name that subhanAllah, the Sheikh, may Allah preserve him, he said that he looks up the names because he knows that subhanAllah, most of the American or these names have some origins in Roman goddess stuff, so he looks them up. And alhamdulillah, he was able to find out that this name has a kufr origin. Origin is shirk, some type of god of whatever. Right? So, it's important that we don't just adopt the cultures of people. Allah warns us about this in Surah Al-Baqarah, right? About how the Jews, don't just say what other people say. Don't just say what other people say because you don't know the meaning behind what they mean when they say it. Right?
Sometimes they call celebrities idols.
There's so much, we live in a land of kufr. There's so much kufr in this country that sometimes you can't even escape from even what you don't even realize. Like you said, calling celebrity idols. And they love them, they cry when they die. And some people say they don't really worship them, right? They say they call celebrities idols, but they don't really worship them. Do we believe that? No, we don't believe that. Look what happened when Kobe Bryant died. Muslims were ready to fight you if you told them don't say rest in peace. Correct? Muslims cry, oh, no, rest in peace. You're in a better place. Really? SubhanAllah, the Prophet used to walk by the graves of the kuffar and tell them that now you're getting punished. And we, subhanAllah, we have such weak iman, such weak wala and bara'ah, that we want to please the kuffar so much that we forget to please Allah. These people commit the greatest sin on earth. Let me ask you a question. If someone killed your mother, would you say rest in peace to them?
No.
And they died. Let's say someone killed your mother and then they got hit by a bus. Would you say rest in peace? What would you say? I hope Allah punishes you. Killed my mother. Doesn't Allah have a greater right? The person commits shirk with Allah, worships other than Allah, calls the people to worship other than Allah, and we tell them rest in peace? You're in a better place? Cry over them even? Why you cry over this type of person? We cry over you. Because you leaving your Islam faster than this person. How can a Muslim? That means, what is your heart really attached to? And you say you don't worship them. You say we don't really worship these people, but we call them idols. But I saw Muslims ready to fight, curse Muslims out. You can't tell me not to say rest in peace about this. Our hearts are diseased. Wallahi, like our hearts have sicknesses in them, shirk filled.
In Australia, there's a church, so the church, they put like ayah Quran on there.
They put what?
There's a church in Australia. So they took, ayah from the Quran and they put like as a sign on their church. Now the ayah says, "Ma lakum la tanassarun." And then people say, so they try to put like religions to come together. So then a lot of Muslims say, oh yeah, they don't even understand the siyaq of the ayah.
Why are you? What do you think about? They thought it'd be like to be a Nasara.
Why are you not being helping each other? That's how they translate it. And some Muslim guy actually shared on the news. He was actually a famous guy. And there were like 1,000 people coming to this.
And again, it's because we're ignorant of our book. We don't even understand the Quran. We don't understand the Quran. This is a threat. This ayah is not like Allah Musta'an.
And it says, "اقتلوا الذين ظلموا وأزواجهم ما كانوا يعبدون من دون الله فاهدوهم إلى صراط الجحيم وقفوهم إنهم مسؤولون ما لكم لا تناصرون." And they think this is like being adhering together.
No, the problem is this, that we, as Muslims, we're looking so much for the help of the kuffar. Like, as an example, when President Joe Biden, when he mentioned inshallah, the Muslims went crazy. Oh, look, mashallah, he said inshallah. And I wonder to myself, are we that simple-minded now as Muslims? That one little word, inshallah, makes us now believe that is he Muslim now? Did he leave shirk? Is he no longer trying to kill? Did he no longer just in his... Well, we have to wake up to the reality of our lives. That stop playing ourselves. Right? That we're playing ourselves. We lie to ourselves. We need to have izzah in our own selves and our own deen. The Prophet and the companions weren't like this. They weren't like little sad puppies that every time the kuffar give them a doggy treat, that they become happy and wag their tail. That's how the Muslims are today. Every time that the kuffar give them a little doggy treat, they can kick them all around, kick them everywhere, right? And then they give them one little doggy treat and they wag their tail and they're happy. Oh, thank you. You just kicked them a million times. SubhanAllah. Like, when are we going to realize they don't like us, they don't want to be our friends? I don't know. Anyway, the point behind me saying this, we diverted away from what we're supposed to be doing, but it was, subhanAllah. The point is, we have to wake up, especially you young people, right? The point was in regards to da'wah. Learning the culture of where you are. Right? Understanding it well. Understing the best way. That's what basira means. From amongst the keys of basira is that you know who you're calling. You know who you're giving da'wah to. And you know what you're giving da'wah to. Like, you have to know your deen. You have to know it well. Especially if you're going to give da'wah to a Christian, or going to a Jew, or to a Muslim. Right? You have to know what is the issue that this person has. Why do they not want to come mix salah? Why does this girl not want to wear hijab? A lot of times it's more than just because of pressure. She has a thought process. Maybe she thinks that Islam is in her heart. What argument or what proof do you bring to the person who thinks that they can love Allah inside their heart but not outside? You have to know these things. Or you corrupt the da'wah. You make more mistakes. You do more harm than you do good. So that's why we say it's important that you start to seek knowledge diligently, right? You actually make a program because you seek knowledge. You read, right? You be serious. It's not just about, Sahaba. Do you know why the Sahaba took so long to memorize the Quran?
No.
Why? You want to know why? Because they wanted fahm. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said there's going to come a time of people that he said, we were the people that it was difficult for us to memorize the words, but we understood it. There's going to come a time where it's going to be easy for people to memorize the words, but they're not going to understand it or act on it. So we're in a time where every answer we need is in the Quran. That's the reality. Every answer we need is in the Quran. Why do we need the other stuff? So that we can understand the Quran. Why do we study hadith? Why do we study nahwu sarf, right? Why do we study fiqh? So we can understand the Quran. Every solution that we need is in the Quran. But you have to be able to understand it properly. To be able to give people the correct medicine that they need. Otherwise you give somebody the wrong dose and you kill them. Right? A person might have an issue. And you say, oh, Jahannam! Because Allah mentions eyes in Jahannam. So now you tell them to go to Jahannam. No, that's not the medicine they need at that moment in time. So be patient in your da'wah. Be patient in calling to Allah. It's not a race. You're not, Allah didn't burden you to make everyone become Muslim. Allah told you to call the people. So call the people. Don't give up. And be patient. I remember. And then what connected to was that? Hastiness, right? Sometimes the people, they want to be hasty. They want to talk about everything else. Fighting and this and that. They haven't even called the people to the correct Islam. For 1 day, 2 days, maybe a year. Somebody might be active for a year, and wants to give up. All of you people are going to go to Jahannam. You don't understand yet? You didn't make a da'wah for a year. So take it easy, inshallah. Keep working hard, but don't condemn the people when they don't accept. Do you understand what I'm saying? Work hard, call the people. But don't condemn them. Don't look down on them because they didn't accept from you on your first 2, 5, 10, 15 days of making da'wah. Right? Keep calling the people. Keep calling the people and don't forget how you were before. Maybe you weren't busy. So now we're talking about the da'wahs. was that the Prophet ﷺ lived in Mecca for 13 years, and he came to Medina. And even after he came to Medina, he didn't actually have an actual real battle until the second year. So after 14 years of calling to Islam, being tortured, thrown into jail, killed, people killed, right? 14 years later, Allah finally gives them permission to fight back, to defend themselves, right? So take that into consideration. Battle of Badr. In the second year after Hijrah during Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ left out with 300 plus men from the believers in pursuit of a caravan of the Quraysh returning from Syria. However, Abu Sufyan diverted off route and Shaitan provoked the Quraysh to come and fight the believers. Both the believers and the Quraysh met at Badr. And this is the big battle of Badr that was also referred to as Yom al-Furqan. When the two armies encountered each other, the Prophet ﷺ supplicated in humility to Allah. So Allah aided the believers with angels who fought alongside them. Allah granted them victory over the disbelievers, raising the word of Allah. During this battle, 70 of the disbelievers were killed, and 14 of the believers were martyred. The next battle was the Battle of Qaynuqa. In the third year, so the second year happened was what? What happened in the second year? What battle happened in the second year after Hijrah? In the third year, what battle happened? Qaynuqa. In the third event of Qaynuqa broke the covenant. Banu Qaynuqa broke the covenant. There was a covenant agreement between the Jews and the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered the Muslims to besiege them for a fortnight. Once they laid down their arms, the Prophet ﷺ expelled them, and they were 700 in number. I'm not sure if I remember right now, but I'm going to tell you the story. One of these battles happened what? One of these battles with the Jews, I believe it was this Banu Qaynuqa battle. One of the reasons that what happened with them was that there was a Muslim lady who was in the marketplace of the Jews. And one of the Jews put something down on the ground so that when she walked away, her hijab got pulled off. Her hijab got pulled off. And there was a Muslim Sahaba that was there. He saw it. What did he do? Did he run? Oh, why did you do that?
You killed him?
He jumped up and killed the Jew. What did the Prophet ﷺ do after this? And the Jews and the people killed him. The Prophet ﷺ came and took revenge for the Sahaba. Why is this? Why am I mentioning this? The honor of our Muslim women, today we act like it's cheap. Right? Today we act like the honor of a Muslim woman is cheap. This Sahaba gave his life to protect the honor of a Muslim woman. Today we act like it's nothing. We see the Muslim lady on TikTok, Snapchat, dancing, shaking herself, right? SubhanAllah. Even SubhanAllah, my older sister called me today. She says, what's going on with the Muslims? She said, the ladies, they're putting themselves forward on these videos and TikTok, Snapchat. What's wrong with them? Why is everyone looking to be liked so much they take their clothes off and show their bodies just so people can say, oh, look at her. She's pretty. No, she's not. She's ugly. Woman of Jahannam, like this. The Prophet ﷺ called them the people of Jahannam. He said there's two types of people of Jahannam that I didn't see yet. And one he described was the lady who was clothed but naked. The Prophet ﷺ called her what? A woman of Jahannam. And some of you guys, not you, mashallah, good men, right? Some of you guys look at these things and say, oh, I like that. She's fire, she's this, she's that. You have destroyed the honor, not you guys, alhamdulillah, I'm saying some of these guys, they destroy the Muslim lady's honor. Because they let the lady think that this is cute. SubhanAllah, you see sometimes the lady, she'll have on a tight dress and a hijab, little hijab, and think that she's covered, right? And she says, what is that? And then she's taking pictures of herself, throwing herself online so people can see it and like it. She's throwing herself into the fire. Throwing herself into the fire for what reason? For likes? So somebody can say she's cute? That's enough to go to Jahannam? Being told that you're cute? It's like we have no self-value. The Sahabi jumped up and killed the Jew when he did this to a Muslim woman. And now our Muslim women are doing it for free. And the Muslim men are liking it. Where's the honor in this? Where's the honor? Then, I'm going to tell you, Then you have a bigger problem, especially for you. Now I'm going to say you, right? How many of you have sisters? Raise your hand. No, that's okay. How many sisters you have? You. MashaAllah. Big job on your hands, kid. What about you?
2,
2? You?
5.
Huh?
5.
MashaAllah.
6.
6. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Right? We can keep going. Now, what's your job as a brother? Dawah starts at home. We want to give dawah, where should it start at? I remember one of my shuyukh, he told me, he said to me, when I was in Sudan, I said, Sheikh, you know, what is that? What do we do? You know, we're losing the people to give it dawah. He said, and his sheikh, he was like the professor of da'wah in the university. He was there now for like 30, 40 years. He said, focus on calling the people. He said, focus on the women. Because if the women become righteous, the society becomes righteous. So now, some of you say 5 sisters, 2 sisters, 5. That's a lot of da'wah right in your own house. You don't have to look nowhere else to give da'wah. Give da'wah to your sisters. Ya ukhti. Don't dress like that. You know one of the biggest things that you young men should do? Alhamdulillah, now you have what? School at home, so you're saved, alhamdulillah, this year. But who knows when they're going to allow school back. Some of you go to the same school as your sisters and see them do some weird things and turn your eyes. No, I don't want her to say nothing about what I'm doing, maybe. Right? Or some of you know what happens on Snapchat, Twitter, whatever, right? And you know your sister has a TikTok account, Twitter account, or Snapchat, whatever it is, and you're not checking up to see what's happening. You know what happens on these accounts, right? You all know? One of the worst mistakes we make as men is that we believe that not us. It's one of the worst mistakes we make as men. We believe not us, but everyone else's sister is doing it, but you think that you're saved by the bell? No. And of course we want to think good about our families, but you have to be in the business.
Will you be held accountable?
Yes. Yes. You will be held accountable for what your sisters do. Yes. Yes. You may be thrown into the fire behind what your women do. So when they say, why are you bothered? I'm not getting thrown into Jahannam because of you. I have my own problems. I don't need your problems too on top of that. So yes, I'm going to be on your back. I'm not going to be thrown into Jahannam because of you. You want to wear your hijab like this? No, we're not doing that. No, we're not on my watch. When you get married, and let it be on your husband or something. Not on my watch. Yeah, I'm going to be in your business. You can hate me and all this type of stuff, but you're not going to, the honor of, that's what we got to say, the Sahaba jumped up and killed somebody for the honor of a Muslim woman. We don't take our sister's honor to be serious. They can talk to any Joe Blow they want to, boyfriends all they want to, wear skirts how they want to. Sahaba killed the person behind the honor of a Muslim woman. And we don't care about the honor of our women. We let them dress how they want to dress. We know what they go out the house with, right? And we look and we turn out the eye like it's not a problem. Like you know the same way, subhanAllah, I'm telling you because you're young men. The same way that you see your sister go out the house and her skirt might be up a little bit more or her hijab is back, and you know that you just saw another lady like that and you might have taken an extra look. You think somebody's not taking an extra look at your sister? Seriously. Ask yourself that question. When the man came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, let me commit zina. The Prophet said, would you like someone to do that to your mother? Would you like someone to do that to your sister, your aunt? So you ask yourself these questions. When you see her go out the house looking like that, you know what as men you like to see, right? Am I lying? As a man, you know what you like to see, correct? And when she wears what you know that you might like on someone else's sister, you don't try to stop this? You got to take your deen and your life serious. And if we all work hard to control and help our women, the Prophet said, and they say, oh, but why do we have to do that? The Prophet said that man, during the time when the Dajjal come, men might have to come and chain their wives and their mothers and stuff up, so because they want to follow the Dajjal so bad. He said you have to chain them into the house because they're going to want to follow the Dajjal. Don't you see the system of the Dajjal is already in front of us? What do you think TikTok, all this Snapchat, all this stuff is, right? It's his system already laid in front of us. Our women are already fallen victim to the Dajjal, and he hasn't even come yet. The actual real Dajjal hasn't even came. Just his system is here, for sure. The ulama speak about this. You don't see this as being a system that somebody could pick up the phone and show their whole self in front of the whole world. It's the system of the Dajjal. And we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention. We have to be serious about these things. Our greatest honor, from the greatest things that we have to be serious about, is protecting the honor of our women. If you take that to be easy, then everything else is done. Everything else is done. Think about it this way, that previously men, when they would go to battle, they would bring their women with them. You know why?
Motivation.
Huh?
Motivation.
Motivation. They knew that if they lost that battle, that the enemy would take their women. Yeah, they would take their women as slaves. So they would bring them, and so if they started losing, the women would say, fight harder, like, yo, don't get us captured. But today, we don't fight for our women. The enemy is taking our women, the shaitan and the evil men are taking our women. TikTok, Snapchat is taking our women, and we don't fight for it at all. We act like we don't see it. We act like it's not a problem. That our sisters are shaking themselves, wearing bad clothing, and showing the world. Okay, as long as they come to the masjid and they wear hijab, right? That's nifaq. Isn't that not hypocrisy? I come to the masjid, I'm dressed real nice. And why am I speaking about the women like this, right? Because you young men are responsible for them. Allah's going to ask you about them. You are going to be held accountable for what they do as well. So take that serious. Take it serious, and we don't need to lose any more. We've lost enough. SubhanAllah. We've lost enough. We don't need to lose any more. So the Prophet ﷺ, he came and took revenge for them, and I believe this is the battle of Khadar, if I remember properly. It might not have been that battle, but I believe it was. If it's not, then inshallah, it was another battle that happened between, or another siege that happened with the Jews, but I think it was the battle of Khadar. Now, so again, take this serious. If we can save, and remember that the women are the first teachers. They're the ones who are going to teach our children. They're the ones who will raise up the next generation. If they're corrupt, the next generation is lost. If the women are corrupt and all they know how to do is make sambusa, right? The next generation, no, I'm serious. I mean, we like sambusa, of course, but that can't be all that they know how to do. You know, sometimes we talk to them and they don't know nothing about nothing. You're like, subhanAllah, like, you know, what do you, and then everyone wants to talk about women equality. How do you be equal? You don't even have, what do you put in your brain? You want to be equal to just showing your body? That's all you want to be equal in? How much eyelashes you can have? It's so foolish. And they're being tricked. And we support their being tricked. Because we don't step up and be men. We're not stepping up to be men properly, so the women are easily tricked. The fault goes, that's why we're punished in regards to it. You want to know why? Because we're responsible. Allah put the qawama over us. So when they do foolish stuff, Allah blames us. Because I'll give you a story. Do you know what prompted, this is a hadith, authentic hadith. Do you know what helped prompt Adam to listen to Shaitan?
His wife.
His wife. Hawa. You know this? Okay, so let me ask you another question. Hawa told Adam, you know, okay, it's okay, you know, she helped. The Shaitan came through a Hawa to misguide Adam, right? To make Adam commit this sin. In the Quran, do you ever see Allah blame Hawa for it?
No.
Only blames Adam. Why? The man is responsible, regardless what the woman says. So Allah never in the Quran do you hear Allah say that Hawa made Adam eat from this, right? Why? Because Adam was the man. And the man is the one that's responsible, regardless if the lady asked for 1,000,000 of whatever. So in the hadith, when Adam was about to die, Hawa came to Adam and tried to encourage him again. He said, no. You already got me last time. So he learned his lesson, alhamdulillah. But when are we going to learn our lesson? Adam, we made the mistake once. We make it every day sometimes. We let the ladies get us into trouble and we say, oh, but no, she didn't do nothing. You're responsible as a man. That's a part of being a man, is that you're responsible for them. They're not responsible for you. And we wonder why Allah gave, a daraja of responsibility to the man. It's not just because you're a man, you say, do this. No, you're given this extra because you're going to be held accountable more. So you're going to take that serious and hold up to your part of the situation. Otherwise, you'll just be punished for them. May Allah protect us from that. The next battle was the battle of Uhud, and it happened in the month of Shawwal. The Quraysh had come to seek revenge for their loss at Badr. They had come to Al-Madinah with about 3,000 men. SubhanAllah. They came deep. As they say, my Turkish brothers say they were crowded. They came crowded to Medina to get busy. They had come to Al-Madinah with about 3,000 men, while the Prophet ﷺ and his companions came out with 700 men and had been abandoned by the hypocrites. Now, there's a beautiful benefit here about Uhud. Why do you keep looking at the clock, man?
It's not help at the clock.
Huh?
That's not what
What do you say?
Okay.
Is it too long?
Not
Let me stop.
No, man. I enjoy it.
So, there's a beautiful story that we can learn from Uhud. The Prophet ﷺ had 3,000 Kafirs came out to fight. The Prophet ﷺ had a bigger army, but the hypocrites abandoned. They came out, they played a move and said, yeah, we're going back. Our families are exposed from behind. We can't do it. So the hypocrites left. Right? They said, no, we can't come out to fight right now. I'll tell you the reason for that now. The attack for the Muslims at the beginning of the day. Then Allah tested the Muslims and the Mushrikeen, targeting the Messenger of Allah, wounding him and breaking his tooth. At that time, the angels fought with him, and 70 of the companions were martyred. From them, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, and Mus'ab ibn Umair, and Anas ibn al-Nadir, and Hamdallah al-Ghasil, and other than them. Talha ibn Ubaydullah fought so well that day, the Prophet ﷺ said, paradise is obligatory for Talha. The Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims headed back to the mountain where Allah protected them from the enemies. The day of Uhud was a testing time for the believers. Allah tested them and made clear to them the hypocrites and honored those who were martyred. After the battle, the Prophet ﷺ heard the Quraysh had come out again to exterminate the Muslims, so he headed towards them with the believers and what they had of wounds. However, when the Muslims arrived at Hamd al-Asad, the Quraysh heard this and fled back to Mecca. So how did the Muslims lose the battle of Uhud? Does anyone know? Excuse me, Afwan. How did the Muslims not lose the battle of Uhud? Because they didn't lose. How did the Muslims suffer some extra loss? They didn't lose because the kuffar didn't come and conquer Medina. So some people, they make this mistake here, right? A loss would have been in military battles when you lose land or something. They didn't lose Medina, alhamdulillah. They had some loss. They lost some Muslims, injuries, but they didn't lose, alhamdulillah. So now my question to you is, what happened to make them experience that loss?
The Muslims thought they won, so they came down from the mountain.
That's what happened, but what is that called? They disobeyed the order of the Prophet ﷺ. And short and easy. Now, the benefit of what I was going to tell you was that a lot of times we look at our numbers and we look to see who abandoned us, right? We say, oh man, this guy's abandoned us. They was with us, but where are they at now? We never lose because of our numbers. We only lose because of our sins. When the hypocrites left, it didn't hurt the Muslims at all. It actually made them better. When the hypocrites left, the Muslims still were winning. Right? The hypocrites leaving didn't harm the winning results of the Muslims. What harmed the winning result of the Muslims was when the Muslims decided to disobey the command of the Prophet ﷺ. So Allah afflicted them with a punishment due to this. Allah afflicted them with some punishment due to this, because they disobeyed the order of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, here's another benefit that you learn. Those people who left the hill, right? Their disobedience to the Prophet ﷺ affected everyone. And we learn a benefit from here. That what we do affects all of us. What one of us does affects all of us. That's how Allah made the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ. That a sin that we might do affects all of the Ummah. And good that we do affects all of the Ummah as well. So some of the ulama, they say, well, the one who doesn't make salah, he's wronged the whole Ummah of Islam. Because he doesn't make a tahiyyat for them anymore. التحيات لله والصلوات الطيبات السلام عليكم يا أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. And upon the righteous. So every time a person leaves that off and they're not praying, they left off making dua for us all. Why are you not praying? We should beat you up. Right? We need that dua. So that's important. The next battle, in the 4th year after Hijrah, there was an incident at Bir al-Ma'una where 70 of the companions who were most knowledgeable of the Quran were killed and besieged. And there was also the battle of Banu al-Nadir, of those whom the Prophet ﷺ besieged, until Allah placed fear in their hearts and expelled them from Al-Madinah. Surah Al-Hashr was revealed about them. So we had 2 battles in the 4th year after the Hijrah. The incident at Bir al-Ma'una, 70 companions were killed. The situation with Banu al-Nadir. Then in the 5th year of the Hijrah, we said the battle happened every year. Every year there's a battle, they're fighting. Every year they're fighting ever since. Battle of Muraysiya. In the 5th year, the Prophet ﷺ left out to fight Banu al-Mustaliq and returned victorious. During this journey, Tayammum was legislated also. The slander against mother of the believers, Aisha, occurred. Yet she was pure. This was very intense upon her. The Prophet ﷺ, until Allah revealed her innocence, and Surah An-Nur, and those who spread the rumors were lashed. Alright, so we'll stop there. Actually, let's finish this one here. Then the next battle, in the Battle of the Trench. Battle of the Trench was also called what? What is the Battle of the Trench also known as?
Of a combined
It's
forces.
called Battle of Ahzab also. Right? Where all of the people united, the kuffar united to fight the Prophet ﷺ. We see today, right? Nations are united to fight the Muslims. The Battle of the Trench occurred in the month of Shawwal during the 6th year after Hijrah. The Jews pledged support to the Quraysh and anyone else who swore an oath to fight the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Again, the Jews are behind a lot of stuff. This hasn't changed yet, right? The Jews are always doing some behind-the-scenes stuff, financing war. So we wonder, right? We see that the Jews have always been behind enmity towards the Muslims, right? How can Muslims today come together and want to sign peace treaties with the Jews? I mean, work together with the Jews against the Muslims? Something's big wrong here. Big wrong. Historically, up until this day, the Jews have always been doing backdoor deals to destroy the Muslims. Now we see Muslims working together with the Jews against the Muslims. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Wahdahu la sharika lahu mulku wa lahu alhamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir. What type of time are we in where we don't even realize our friends from our enemies? That Muslims are working together with the Jews against other Muslims. It's from the greatest of crimes that can happen to the Muslim Ummah, and people are silent about it like it's not happening. Like it's not happening. It's impossible. The Prophet ﷺ, you see from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, you don't see the Prophet ever work with the kuffar against the Muslims, especially from amongst the most evil of the kuffar who are behind every trick and plot. And you go and you work with them against the Muslims? That's not called siyasa. That's not politics. That's called selling the ummah of Muhammad out. That's called selling out. I don't care which way you could draw it up. There's no politics in that. That you work with the kuffar to kill Muslims. It doesn't work that way. You got to answer with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about this in Yawm al-Qiyamah. You shouldn't even work with another Muslim against another Muslim. But you talking about work with the kuffar to kill Muslims? So the Quraysh joined forces with Banu Sulaym, Banu Asad, Fazara, Asja, and other than them, and they came to Al-Madinah with 10,000 men. Salman al-Farisi advised the Prophet ﷺ to build a trench that would protect them from the combined forces. The Prophet ﷺ set out with 3,000 men and fortified at the mountain Sala'a and made a trench in front of it. The Prophet ﷺ had entered the path of the tribe Banu Qurayza. However, they broke the covenant and joined the combined forces, fighting against the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ then sent Nu'aym ibn Mas'ud to the combined forces and deceived them among their own ranks and caused them to split. Allah then sent an army from the wind, demolishing their camps, turning upside down their cooking pots. They were shaken by the winds, and fear entered their hearts until they fled and abandoned the battle, having attained nothing from their plots. The Prophet ﷺ then returned to Banu Qurayza and appointed Sa'd ibn Mu'adh as the one to judge their affair. This is the battle that Surah Al-Ahzab had been revealed about. The peace treaty. In the 6th year after Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ set out with 1,400 of his companions in order to perform Umrah. When they had reached Al-Hudaybiyah, the Quraysh prevented them from entering Mecca and sought truce with them to leave off fighting for 10 years. This was a great victory for the Muslims. As Allah said, "Indeed, we have given you, Muhammad, a clear conquest." This peace treaty included the Quraysh allowing the Muslims to return to Mecca the following year to perform Umrah. So they returned the following year in the month of Dhul-Qa'dah and performed Umrah al-Qadha, making up for the last year. The Battle of Khaybar. 20 days after the Prophet ﷺ returned from Al-Hudaybiyah, he set out for Khaybar, north of Al-Madinah. Here they besieged the Jews for 20 days and fought fiercely until the Jews became certain of their own destruction and pleaded for peace. The Prophet ﷺ then allowed them to farm the land for payment of half its fruit and grain. Tell you. So we'll stop there. Inshallah, we'll finish the last of this on next Thursday, inshallah. This coming Thursday, inshallah. طيب هذا وصلى الله وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Are there any questions?
Oh, the question about you know, when it's like a non-mahram and mahram, and you have a
One second. Would you say Bismillah?
The question about when there's a non-mahram and a mahram, and they touch you, do you lose wudu when the non-mahram touch you or the mahram touch you? Or is it both?
So the question is in regards to Zubair. The question is in regards to if a non-mahram touches you and you have wudu, does that break your wudu?
No, females.
A non-mahram female, of course.
Like mahram female as well, like.
Now, we don't really know what they refer to non-mahram and mahram with men. Because it's like they're always mahram for you. So, if a non-mahram lady, to make it better, a non-mahram lady.
It's non-mahram.
Thank you. If a lady who you're able to marry, alright, that's what non-mahram means. A lady that you're able to marry, okay. So there's two types of women that you're able to marry, right? There's some women that you're able to marry anytime, right? And there's some women that you're not able to marry for a reason. For a reason. So what does that mean? Let's say you're married already. Your wife's sister, her aunt, right? You're not able to marry her while you're married to her sister. But she's not mahram for you. Even though you're prohibited from marrying her while you're married to her sister. But if you divorce her, then her sister is marriageable to you. But your wife's mother, you're never able to marry her ever again. So she becomes mahram for you. Your wife's mother, you're never able to marry her. Her mother, grandmother, and keep going up, right? You can never marry her. She becomes mahram for you and you for her. Meaning that you can never marry her. But your wife's sister, you can't marry her only while you're married to her sister. But let's say you got divorced and your wife died, you can marry her sister. So she's never mahram for you. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's something we have to pay attention to because unfortunately today we're lax. The Muslims unfortunately are lax when it comes to their brother and sister-in-laws. They act like their brother-in-law or their sister-in-law is their actual sister or brother. When reality is, the Prophet ﷺ said that's the most dangerous relationship. The relationship between a sister-in-law and a brother-in-law. The Prophet ﷺ described it as death when he was asked about this. So we should be extra careful of the relationship between us and our sister-in-laws or the lady and her brother-in-law. There's a benefit there in reality, and the reason is that most of the time the good qualities that your wife or you see and the other person, maybe her sisters have the same thing. Or your brother has the same thing. Right? You look alike, you might even smell alike. You raised in the same house, you might act alike. Right? So you don't be negligent and not say, oh, but it's my wife's or it's my brother's wife, so I can be alone with her. No, you can't. You are not to be alone with your brother's wife. You're not alone. The girl should not be alone with her husband's brother. No. It's a dangerous relationship. So, does touching the woman who you can marry, does it break your wudu?
Yeah.
You said yes.
I don't know.
Wow. So in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, it breaks the wudu. It breaks the wudu. That's the madhab that's common here. Right? That it breaks the wudu. Based upon the dalil that they mentioned in the Quran, "O la mastumun nisa." When Allah Ta'ala mentions in the ayat of what a person should do if they go to if they have to make wudu, or if they have to make ghusl, and he mentions in there that if a person touches a woman, some of the ulama, such as Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, said this means touch. La mastumun nisa means touch. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he says that this means having intercourse with a woman, not just touching. As well, we know this narration with the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that he would kiss his wives before he would go out to pray. So, based on the proof, we would say that it doesn't break the wudu. And Allah knows best. But what we would say is, for the err on the side of caution, whenever we have ikhtilaf amongst the scholars, it's better to be cautious. Right? It's better to be cautious. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, he has this, and the scholars of that they've stood upon this. And it's mu'tamid, the madhab is based upon this issue. So we should be cautious about that. And if we see a person that says it, we shouldn't laugh at them and say, oh no. Just respect that. Right? Respect it and say, okay. And you should know that, especially amongst your own people, that is the opinion that your family is going to take. Right? So you should be aware of that. And be cautious of just touching, or also there's a benefit here. Why, and what is one of the benefits that the Shafi'iyun, they feel in regards to this? That touch. A lot of times we don't realize how serious touch is. That you touch a woman that's not your wife. What does it do? Right? The sacredness of touching another woman. We've gotten away from understanding that. Sometimes we see men hugging, and in school they hugging each other. Girls and boys hugging each other, shaking hands. This is sacred. To touch another woman, I touch my daughter, I'll kill you. Right? It's reality. That's what a man should feel like, right? And some of you guys, they act like it's just, I just shook her hand. No. That's a sacred thing. You're not supposed to touch that girl unless her father gave you permission to be with her as her husband. Right? It's sacred. So, the people, they say that when you touch people who are not, there's a desire that comes about from it. Shahwa. Anytime that a man and a woman touch, that the woman, there's details also in the madhab of the Shafi'i Imam that it's not just any girl that you touch, it's the girl that's of marriageable age that has some desire or the boy that's of that age that has desires, and things of that nature, right? That it has to be an actual touch, not through, what's the word? Like gloves, and it shouldn't, so there's a touch. But the reason is that the desire that comes from a touch between a man and a girl, that we act like it doesn't happen today. There's nothing. When a man shakes a woman's hand, what she feels when she feels his hand, and what he feels when she feels his hand, vice versa. So we should be very careful of that, and not take it lightly. So does it break the wudu? We say Allah knows best, no. But it's still something to be very cautious of. Also, if a person does take that opinion, also that means that when the husband touches the wife, that it breaks the wudu also. Because the wife is mahram, it's not mahram, the wife is someone that he can marry. So they include her amongst the people that he can marry, that if he touches her, it breaks the wudu. If he touches her, it breaks the wudu.
Just regular touch?
Touch, brother. Touch is touch. You touch her.
No, because you said two different touches.
No, I said that if you don't, like there's a glove or there's, like you touch her, like let's say you touch this, or you touch the nail, but if you touch the skin, then it breaks the wudu.
Why does the numbers keep on adding up every battle that takes place?
More people keep coming, more they come against her. More people keep coming against her. Islam, the more stronger Islam gets, the stronger their enemy gets. That's a normal rule of war. The stronger you are, the stronger your enemy normally. Yes.
So the Sahabi that killed the Jew. So in that case, would the woman be his honor?
Every Muslim woman is our honor. Every Muslim woman we should take as being our honor, whether she's our sister or not, whether she's our mother or not. Every Muslim woman is our honor. When you go somewhere, you're in the store, you should make it known. You see Muslim woman, you should make it known that you're there. Assalamu alaikum. There's a man, Muslim man here, right? Assalamu alaikum. No. The Muslim man here, something jumps off, I'm here. Right? That's what it means to be a Muslim man, that you're responsible. If something happened to a Muslim lady over there, and you that's not my sister. No, what do you mean? That's not your sister. It's a Muslim woman. So, yes, we're responsible for all the Muslim women. And that's why it's so important too that the Muslim women understand that. Because they want us to be responsible when they want us to be, but when they don't want us to be. Right? If something was to happen to a Muslim, somebody beating her up, right? And you were there, she would say, oh, why you didn't help me? Astaghfirullah, what type of Muslim are you? Right? Wouldn't she say that? They'll talk about you. You'll be on Facebook by tomorrow. She'll probably take your picture. Look at this man. He did nothing to help me. He's a Muslim. Kufi on his head. Dawm on. But then when she walks past you wearing hijab, messed up, you say, yeah, ukhti, fix your hijab, barakallahu fiki. Allah would love it. What? Mind your business. Why are you looking? You can't have your cake and eat it too. When you want me to help you, you want me to help you. But then when you don't, nah. So then should we not help you ever then? So when we see somebody beating you up, we say, oh, you told me to mind my business, sisters. No.
What are we supposed to do if they say only Allah can judge me?
Well, the issue is this, right? Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, when the Quran was being revealed, it used to expose who was who. Right? It used to expose who was who. But when the Quran stopped being revealed, we used to judge the person for what they showed us. If they showed us good, we judged them as being good. If they showed us evil, we judged them as being evil. That's the reality. A person is running in a bank, robbing the bank. Should we not call him a bank robber? Right? You see a person stand over somebody and kill him. Boom! Should we not call him a killer? The person doesn't wear hijab. Should we not call him a non-hijab wearer? Like, don't get mad at me because you're broadcasting your sin. And I'm going to, subhanAllah, we're not looking down on you. But it's the reality. You chose to walk outside the house looking like this. Right? If you didn't want anyone to judge you, stay home. Don't come into society and show evil, and then when the people judge you for that evil, you say, oh, you're looking down on me. Allah told you to do what? Wear hijab. Allah told you to grow your beard. Allah told you don't drink alcohol. Allah told you don't smoke the cigarettes. Allah told you don't take riba. So when we say Allah told you don't do this, why'd you do it? Now you say that only Allah can judge. Allah gave, yes, you're true. Allah gave us what to judge you with. He told us to judge you when you don't do the halal. What are we going to do? But it doesn't mean that we don't have to look down on the person either and belittle them. Because in reality, we want the people to do good. It's not just about saying, I'm better. Because no, we're not better. We all have our sins. Maybe you hide yours better than that person. Alhamdulillah. But we all have some things that we will be ashamed that the people know about, right? So, we're not trying to belittle the person, but the reality is don't walk around parading sins and think that we're not going to say anything to you. Right? So no, only Allah can judge me. Then when the police pull you over for speeding, do you say that to them? So it's like we play the game with what we believe. The police pull you over for not having your seat. We say, oh, don't you know only Allah can judge me? No, they're going to pull you out the car and beat you probably. So why not the same thing when you break the laws of Allah? You break the laws of the dunya and you don't mind when the judge judges you. But you break the laws of Allah and now you have a problem? No. The laws of Allah should be more severe to us. We should be more concerned about breaking the laws of Allah than breaking the laws of the dunya. We're going to look at it that way. We think that, only Allah can judge. That's like a cop-out. Only Allah can judge me. So that means I can steal, lie, cheat, do whatever I want, and you can't tell me nothing about it? Then you need to go live in a cave by yourself where no one else can live with you. Because if you live in a society, the society is going to judge you. That's the reality. The society that you live in is going to judge you for being evil or for being good. If you do good in the society is going to call you a good person. If you do evil, they're going to call you an evil person. That's just the reality. It's foolishness to say, only Allah. Only an ignorant, arrogant person will say something like this. Only Allah can judge me. Don't judge me. That's arrogance. This type of person you don't even deal with. You let them go destroy themselves because they don't want to change themselves. You don't even, okay. Tell you, go over there somewhere and play with yourself. Like when we were young, we would tell these people, these are the type of people that take the basketball. When they lose the game, they take their basketball and go home. We're going home for basketball. Say, go home and we have another basketball. Because we don't want to deal with you. If we can't give you nasiha, and you can't give us nasiha, then there's no relationship between us. We don't want to deal with you. If you want to behave like that way, only Allah can. So you can just destroy the society, and we can't, advise you. No, then go play by yourself somewhere, away from the rest of us. We don't have time for that. You had another question. What was it?
What was the question about the female getting shot?
The what?
The female getting shot. Like
A female gets shot? And what happened?
there was a story about a doctor,
Uh-huh.
and he heard it from a sheikh. And
Uh-huh.
you're not supposed to reference to a sheikh. He was like, the sheikh said, you can't touch a female because she's not your mahram. So the doctor let the female die because...
Allahu Akbar. The sins on him and that sheikh. Islam is not... some people, they make Islam look so ugly. And Islam is so beautiful. You tell me if a lady's sitting here dying, right?
But you can.
Of course you can touch her. Of course. If the lady's falling, you can touch her. Then hold her fall. Like Islam is not like this in a box. Where, you see a lady falling, right? You're like, whoa. Doesn't even make sense. Right? SubhanAllah, like, when like, you see a lady fall, you don't touch her, you let her fall and bust her head open? No. You try to grab her, and it's durura, a necessity, right? There's things that, maybe that's not a durura hajj even, right? It's a need, she's falling, you grab her from falling. You have no other intent. Once you picked her up, you let her go. But you don't let her fall and hit her head. She's on the ground bleeding, and you say, I can't do CPR, you're not mahram for me. You do what you have to do to save the life, then you keep moving. But you're not doing it for desire her, like, once I save her life, now she's going to marry me. Come on, be serious. Islam is not backwards like this. It's these type of people and these type of backwards rulings that make the kuffar think that Islam is some type of, caveman religion. Islam is beautiful. Look at that, I'll show you a narration. Look when the Prophet ﷺ was walking by, and he saw Asma radiallahu anha. He was on his camel. He saw Asma radiallahu anha with a bunch of, she was carrying wood back. Right? The Prophet ﷺ kneeled. He had his companions, but he wasn't by himself. He had other men with him, right? He kneeled his camel down, and say, ik to the camel, and like told Asma, like, get on. There was his sister-in-law, she's not mahram for him, but he saw her in a situation that she might have needed help. He was going to let her ride behind him on the camel. She refused out of knowing how jealous Zubair ibn al-Awwam was, her husband. But the Prophet ﷺ was going to help her. Right? So let's say sometimes, and unfortunately, right, like sometimes you see a Muslim lady walking down the street, right? We live in a very sad time, right? You see a Muslim lady, maybe you even have a brother with you, right? And you see a Muslim lady walking down the street, and you feel bad. You want to pick her up and say, oh, let me give you a ride to wherever you have to go. But we live in such a weird time that if you want to do that, maybe in her mind she would think, oh, maybe, why does he want to give me help? And then maybe someone sees it and say, oh, what happened? Why? Brother, but she'll jump in an Uber. Right? She'll jump in a taxi with the kafir. But the Muslim wants to give her help. He has a brother with him. Maybe even his wife is with him. And there's no, mashallah. Come on, this is like a fake type of piety. But she jumps in an Uber all the time. She's in an Uber. Let me call my Uber. The Uber guy comes. He got the music on. How you doing? He's macking to her even maybe. And she's comfortable with that. She gets in a taxi anytime. We live in a very strange time. We play with our deen and we want to, it's like a nifaq, subhanAllah. Like we have this fake piety with us. That, oh, salaam alaikum. You see a Muslim in the store, Muslims don't even want to give salams to each other. They're like, oh, if I give salams to her, maybe she's going to think I like her. Or maybe he's going to, we have to be adults. There's a certain thing where you have to have rujula and muru'a. Right? You say, okay, salaam alaikum, sister. You're not like, salaam alaikum, sis, what's up? Nah, salaam alaikum. Right? Wa alaikum salam. It's no problem. The Sahaba weren't like that. The Prophet used to give salam to the ladies. Right? Just because he gave salam didn't mean he asked her to marry her the next day. It's not salam alaikum, let me get your number. It's salam alaikum. May Allah be pleased with you. I'm here, I'm a Muslim, I'm keeping it moving. We're not talking, we're not macking and flirting. Salam alaikum. But we're so overly sexualized reality that everyone is like, yo, as soon as you give salam, this means that I must like you? Like, no, I give salam. Give salam to my mother too. Does that mean I like her? Come on, we really have to fix our behavior. We're too overly and it's not real. Because you go to work, you go to school, and you're saying, hi, what's up, talking to people for hours, but you can't give salam to the brother? I don't know, it's fake to me. I don't see the reality behind it. You have the ladies are hugging men and stuff like that, wa'iyadu billah. The men are hugging and shaking hands, but they can't give salam to their sister. Salam alaikum. We gotta stop being fake. That's one of the biggest problems we have. We're fake. We're faking so much, subhanAllah, all the time, fronting. Jump in the Uber with the Muslim can't give you a ride and help you out. So you see Muslim ladies, outside of you, and you feel bad because you're like, man, I'm not even gonna ask because it's like, who knows what's gonna go through their mind. But you want to help, but you can't even help. You can't even, being helpful today is even seen as a crime. Allah musta'an. Did you have a good question too?
Oh yeah, it's if you have wudu, right? Then if you have wudu, right? So you know how there's things that invalidate it. So so out of the whole list, right? And you have socks and you go to the bathroom, if anything happens, you can still wipe over your sock, right?
If you broke your wudu and you had socks on, can you wipe over your socks is your question?
Not in that case, but there's a whole list of things that invalidate your wudu.
Okay. Happens. So let's say you passed gas, you fell asleep. Any of these things that happen, as long as you don't need a ghusl, then you can wipe over your socks. As long as you don't need the higher level of wudu, and you didn't have the socks on for longer than the time period allowed, then you can wipe over the socks. Regardless if you touch the lady, you use the bathroom, you pass the gas, whatever it might be, long as it's only wudu and not ghusl, and you did not go over the time period allowed for when you put the socks on, then you can wipe over your socks.
Is having doubts about Islam haram?
Have doubts about Islam?
Yeah, but it's wrong, but it's just stuck in your
It
mind.
happens. This is what the shaitan, he does. The shaitan will try to make a person have doubts. And this is one companion. He came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said that, I have things that go through my heart that I can't even mention.
But you don't speak of it, though.
And the Prophet ﷺ told us, this is the Iman. That the Imam is sometimes when you're going to talk to yourself. And your heart is going to ask you some questions. And the shaitan is going to try to, trick you about some things. And what removes these doubts is knowledge. Seeking knowledge, asking the people of knowledge when you do have these type of things so that we get them clarified. It's very important that you don't just, assume and just leave it and say, no, ask the people of knowledge. Seek knowledge, because the doubts you have, probably a million other people have had them already. And the answers, inshallah, are easy.
How like you're close to Allah when you're in prostration. Can you make while you're saying the things you're supposed to say, Subhan Rabbil A'la, can you start making dua in your heart while you're...
You should say it. Dua should be said out loud.
Out loud?
I mean, like moving your lips. If you can say it, moving your lips, you should be saying moving your lips. Even in sujood. Like when you're saying, you're saying at the same time you're saying Subhan Rabbil. No, you can't like overlap the dua. Right?
No, like you're saying Subhan Rabbil A'la and
then make your next dua, yeah.
No, at the same time in your heart you're asking whatever you want.
Not like this, because it's not, dua should be made with your heart involved. Your heart and your tongue should be involved together. So you're saying Subhan Rabbil A'la, this has a meaning that your heart should be attached to first. You can't add another dua on top of this because then your heart is not attached to either one of them. You're saying one thing and your heart is somewhere else now. When you're saying Subhan Rabbil A'la, your heart should be attached to saying Subhan Rabbil A'la. Then you move to the next dua. The effect of your dua is the effect that your heart is attached to what you're saying. The sincerity involved. So your dua is attached to this. So you don't want to have your dua be weak because you're all over the place. Make the one dua, then make the next dua. Then make your next dua. But each dua have your heart focused on what you're saying. That's where the strength of your dua comes, not just the words. The words of the dua is not the strength of it, how sincere you are and how much your heart is attached to what you're saying. Now,
about the salah, same salah. We know Fajr and Maghrib and Isha. Imam will make Wallahu and Fatiha, whatever next surah of ayah. So we understand what Imam is saying and we follow and we make meditation on him. We understand the ayahs and the Fatiha. But when he done Surah Al-Fatiha, people, the movement will be reading behind him, Surah Al-Fatiha. But what about Asr and Dhuhr? Because Asr and Dhuhr is reading slowly, which we cannot hear him.
the Al-Fatiha is a rukn of the Salah, and it should be recited by the Imam and the followers. Now, how it's done, it differs from Salah to Salah. So, if the Imam leaves time after Al-Fatiha to recite it, then you should try to recite it during that time. You shouldn't compete with him saying it while he's reciting. Sometimes you hear some people, you recite, Alhamdulillah, they go like, no, it's not like this. You should wait till if there's time, and if there's no time, then Alhamdulillah, no problem. Allah is not converting you more than you can handle. Now, in the salats that are silent, or not silent, but are less loud, because there's no real silent salat. Even, Dhuhr, in these salawat, then the person recites on his own. He recites Al-Fatiha on his own. And he has to say it himself. So he should be saying it himself during these salat.
And what if he's reading Fatiha, can you also follow surah or ayah?
And the not loud salat?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he should.
And the salam.
Yeah, he should.
How about the two last rak'ahs?
The same thing. And anytime that the imam is less loud, then the person who's following should be reciting on his own.
No, I mean like when the first two rak'ahs, when you read Fatiha, you read another surah. How about the two last ones?
Oh, okay. Then these surahs, these rak'ah, you should read Al-Fatiha only. And some automatically say, especially like the Dhuhr and Asr, that the Prophet said sometimes he would actually add ayat aside from Al-Fatiha and Dhuhr and Asr sometimes in the last two rak'ah as well.
How about at-tahiyyat, you stop at Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan. You stop there, but the last at-tahiyyat, you finish it all the way up to his rituals.
In which way? What do you mean?
Like the first at-tahiyyat, the first two rak'ahs, when you read at-tahiyyat, you only read the
In the
first half.
first sitting.
The first half, yeah.
Mhm.
And after that, the last one, you finish it. Like you
There's
read the
different,
full one.
some of the ulama, such as Imam Shafi, rahimahullah ta'ala, says you read the Allahumma salli ala Muhammad in the first one too. And he makes it a condition of the salat there. So, there's a difference in the opinions. Most of the scholars are upon the fact that you should say Tahiyatul Ilahi, Mustafa Shalom, La ilaha illallah, Shalom, Muhammad Rasulullah here. Right? But some scholars, they say that you should add Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. How do we get out of the ikhtilaf? Then we do it, just to be safe, inshallah.
You know Jama'at Tirmidhi, like the volume?
They're what?
Jama'at Tirmidhi, like the hadith.
Oh, Jami'at Tirmidhi.
You know, you know,
I thought you said Jama'at Tablighi.
you know on book 1, right? You know how the first couple hadiths, he talked about the Prophet combining the salats. But he combined the salats without no occasion, he said.
Well, combining the salat is not normal. It shouldn't be a normal practice. If a person has to combine the salat due to a hajjah, due to a reason, he has to do something, or it's raining, then it's permissible. But it shouldn't be something that's just done. Even like you mentioned, the hadith that mentioned that here, that's because if a person has to do it, they have some need, they got caught up doing something, they were busy, then inshallah Islam gives him some leeway. But it shouldn't be a normal practice.
No, but I think in like the hadith it talks about like.
No, I know the narration is saying he did it for no reason.
Yeah.
The hadith of Ibn Abbas, the ulama said they explain it to me that it gives you an allowance, but it doesn't make it your norm. He did it to show the ease of Islam, right? But that wasn't his normal practice. And it should not be our normal practice to join the salah for no reason. That makes sense? The reason he did it was to show that there is some flexibility here in Islam. But not that it should be your normal practice to join the salawat. The salawat should be prayed in their times. That's the rule.
Can you reach the status of prophets in the hereafter?
In the hereafter,
Yeah, I mean in Jannah, if you eventually enter.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you might be on a level. I don't know. طيب. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك